Okay, lesson number 5 is just more questions with regards to how to write the equation of a line with given information. So remember, linear equations can be in one of 3 forms. The ax plus by plus c is the general form. We never start off with the general form. When we're given slope and points and y-intercepts, it always occurs in one of these 2 forms first, and then we can write it into the general form. So the next 2 forms, we have the slope y-intercept, y equals mx plus b, and then we have the point slope form, which is y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. No, because they're going to get risers, and when they're back, they're back. Who are you missing? Sure. Because the only ones that should have been gone should have been the boys. Okay. Slope y-intercept form, again, if you're given the y-intercept and you're given the slope, that's the form that you're going to start off with. If you are given points on a line, so if you are given 2 points, you can find the slope between those 2 points, and then using the slope and one of those points, you can find the point slope form. So it's a matter of being able to determine what you're being asked and what information you're being given. So if I look at class example number 1, given 2 points on a line, determine the equation in general form of the line that passes through these 2 points. So remember what I said, you cannot go directly into general form. You have to start off with either point slope or slope y-intercept. If I have 2 points on a line, what can I find out about that line? I can find the slope. So the first thing that I want to do is I want to find the slope from P to Q. So I'll give you a moment and I want you to find the slope between P and Q. Okay, so the slope of P to Q. -1 minus -6 over 3 minus -2. And I get 5 over 5 or 1. Okay? And it doesn't matter if I went -6 minus -1 over -2 minus 3, I still would get a positive 1 because I would have gotten -5 over -5. So now the next part, the point slope form, or sorry, I guess I kind of gave that away. To write my equation, I would use the point slope form, not the slope y-intercept because I don't know the y-intercept and I'd have more steps. So now that I have the slope and a point on a line, that's what I would use. It doesn't matter which point I take. Okay, and I'll show you. I'll do both of them and we will get the exact same equation. So if I chose point P and I did point slope form, I would have y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. So I'm going to remove my brackets. And in my general form, everything gets moved onto one side of the equation and I let my x be positive. So x is already positive on the right-hand side. I'll move my y over, it will become negative. When I move the 1 over, it also becomes negative, and I get x minus y minus 4. If I had chosen the other point, I get y minus y1, so y minus -6 equals m times x minus x1. So I get y plus 6 equals x plus 2. Again, move everything over to the right-hand side because x is already positive. That would make y negative. And when I move the 6 over, it also becomes negative, and a positive 2 and a negative 6 results in a negative 4. Okay? So when you have 2 points, it does not matter which point you take, you will get the same equation. So I don't want you to get hung up on you have to pick this point or you have to pick that point. It doesn't matter. Okay, so let's work through question number 2 together. Determine the equation in general form of the line through the point 5 and 0, and it's perpendicular to the line with the equation 3x minus 5y plus 17 equals 0. So what do I need to know first?
The slope of this equation.
So I need to know the slope of this line. So how do I find out the slope of this line?
Into y-intercept.
Okay. Isolate y. So to get y by itself, do I want to move the y to the other side of the equation, or do I want to move the other stuff? So look at my y value. Is y positive or negative? So if it's negative, move it. Because when I move it over, it becomes positive. And then how do I get rid of the 5? Divide. Why do I divide? Because I'm multiplying. It's the inverse of multiplying. Okay? So y would equal 3/5 x plus 17/5. So what is the slope of this line? 3/5. So then what would be the slope of my new line? -5/3. Perpendicular slopes have negative reciprocals. So I take the reciprocal of 3/5 and then I put the negative on it. Okay? How do I use that to write the equation of my new line? I have a slope. What else do I have? I can use slope point form because I have a point. So slope point form is y minus y1. What's y1?
0.
Equals -5/3 times x minus, what's x1? 5. Okay? What's y minus 0? Just y. Okay. I have this fraction. First of all, I have to write this equation in general form. So that means that I cannot have fractions. If this was a y equals mx plus b, so if this was slope y-intercept, I could leave the fraction and I could just work with it. But because I'm in general form says we typically don't have fractions. We try to get rid of them. So how do I get rid of this third? So say that again.
Don't you just move the -3 for everything and just multiply by it?
I wouldn't multiply by -5. So you're saying move the -3 to under everything? Like that? Okay. So then how do I get rid of that 3? Multiply. Because this over everything is the same as dividing. So I get rid of it by multiplying by 3. But I do the same thing to the other side. So 3y equals -5 times x minus 5. And now what would I do? What would I do next, Elena? Remove the brackets. So when I remove the brackets, I would get multiply. -5 times -5? I know it's a Monday morning. General form, I mean everything goes over to the other side. So what do I want to move? Do I want to move the 3y or do I want to move the other stuff?
The other stuff,
Why?
because the X is negative.
I want the x to be positive, so I move it over to the other side. My y is positive, and when I move the 25 over,
Negative 25.
it becomes negative 25. And there's my equation. Okay, one more question. Find the equation in general form of the line perpendicular to the following equation with the same x-intercept as another equation. So what do I need to find out first? The slope of what? Okay, so I start off with this equation, 5x minus 7y minus 10 equals 0. And I need to find its slope. So I'm going to give you a moment, and I want you to find the slope of that line. So if I take my equation, I will move the y over because that would make it positive, and then I would divide by 7. So what is the slope of this line? The slope is 5/7. So what would the new slope be? Negative 7/5 because it's perpendicular. Okay? What else do I need? So I now have the slope.
Coordinates.
What coordinates do I need specifically?
X-intercept.
I need the x-intercept from this equation. So how do I find the x-intercept?
Place y is 0.
Let y be equal to 0. So I get x minus 2 times 0 minus 12. What's 2 times 0?
0.
So I'm going to get x minus 12 equals 0 because all of this will disappear, including that negative. So it's not x minus a minus 12, it's x minus 12. Move the 12 over, and I get x equals 12. So now what I have is I have a point on the line, 12 and 0. So I need this slope and this point. So which equation form would I use?
Slope.
Slope point form. So y minus y1, which would be y minus 0, equals x, or sorry, equals m, negative 7/5 times x minus x1. And that y minus 0 is just y, so I could write y there. I need to get rid of the fraction, so I need to get rid of the 5. So what operation gets rid of the 5? Multiplication. So 5 times y equals negative 7 times x minus 12. So then I would multiply by the negative 7. Because my x is negative, I would move everything to the other side to make it positive. The 84 becomes negative. And there's my general equation. So your questions, 1B and E, 3B and C, 4B, and 9 to 14.